You took my sins and all of my sorrows when you gave your life on the cross. You loved me first, you opened my eyes, your resurrection made it possible for me to sing. You did it all, you're the only reason I'm accepted at the Father's
Welcome to
throne.
WKTV, and we are here at Wyoming Lee High School for the 8th annual Stubby Overmire Sports Card Show. As you can see over my shoulder, we've got Denny Mclain here once again from the 1968 Detroit Tigers, baseball's last 30-game winner, along with Ray Bentley, two-time Super Bowl player for the Buffalo Bills and local from Hudsonville and Central Michigan University. This is a fundraising event that Emelander puts together every year. This year it's benefiting the Wyoming baseball team, Wyoming Lee baseball team, along with the youth football team. We appreciate the vendors that are here. You'll have a chance to meet a few of them as we go through some interviews. And we look forward to the rest of the day's activities, and we thank you for viewing. I hope you enjoy the show.
Every day, you did it all. You're the only reason I'm accepted at the Father's throne. You changed my heart, and I want the whole world to know. You will never let me fall from your grace. My sins have already been washed away. Yeah.
Well, welcome to WKTV. We're interviewing some of the vendors that we've got here at the Stubby Overmire Card Show today. And I'm here with Devin and Don Slocum. How are you guys today?
Good. That's good.
You do this all the time together? Is it a relationship here, obviously, or what's the deal?
Yeah.
He's my dad.
My daughter. I've been bringing her for, about 3 years now, I think. So she enjoys it.
Okay, how many do you do during the course of a year?
About 3 or 4, probably. 3 or 4.
Okay, just something that you do on your own personally, or you have a business, or just for the fun type of a deal, or what?
Just for fun. Yeah. She enjoys it. I enjoy it. Gives us some time together. So.
Absolutely, that's a great opportunity. How's business been going so far today?
Good.
Doing good?
Yeah.
All right. Out of everything you got here today, what do you think is your prized possession that you're really looking forward to getting rid of, or that you would say is your top thing?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I got a Nick Castellanos autograph rookie card over there. So.
I know people are looking forward to things from him this coming year, that's for sure. Absolutely. Well, we appreciate the time. We thank you for coming out today, and have a great day.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, here we are with our next vendor, a very familiar face to our WKTV listeners, sports director and my partner on all of our broadcasts, Paul Kabelman. How you doing today, Paul?
Pretty good, Mikey. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. Thanks. Glad for taking time out of your schedule here with us and taking time out to come today. How's it going so far?
It's been pretty good so far. It's a little slow as far as the number of clients, though. I hope it picks up here a little bit, maybe when Denny gets here.
Yeah, absolutely. As Paul referred to, Denny Mclain's coming in to do autographs, as well as Ray Bentley. So once they come in. So what's the prized possession today? So far, anything anybody's looking for that you haven't been able to come up with? Or what do you think is a big one today that people might be looking for?
You know, that's a good question. Obviously, Mclain material. One guy was looking for autographed basketball cards, which I have none of. But some autographed baseballs by different Tigers in particular. Pretty much a Tiger crowd.
Okay.
You got a few rebels like this guy Lou over here with a Red Sox stuff on. But then there's this guy right behind you that's got a Michigan hat on, but we won't mention that.
There's nothing wrong with that. The Red Sox maybe, but the Michigan is okay. From the point of view, how many shows do you do during the course of a year now? I know not as many as you used to, but there's still some.
This is it so far, yeah. With 5 grandkids and life in general, it's pretty tough to do any more than that.
But you're retired now. You're supposed to be able to do more of these things.
Is that tired or retired?
Yes, on both counts.
Okay.
All right. Well, we appreciate the time as always, Paul. Have a great day.
Hey, my pleasure.
Thank
It's
you.
always nice working with
You too.
But I woke up, opened up, and saw the truth. I'm getting out and taking charge of the rest of my life. Just listen up, I've got a little of my own advice. You gotta let it go.
We're here with Tom DeGennaro. Excuse me for that last name butchering it there. I bet it does. And we're just taking a look here at different things. What's happening today? How's business going so far today, Tom?
Going good. It's a little slow right now, but when Mr. Mclain gets here, it'll pick up. So it'll be a lot more people in here. So
Absolutely. Looking at some of the old stuff, you got some of the old Tigers down here.
stuff here, and that's Joe's next door.
What would you take a look at? I see Frank Howard down there from the Senators, Ernie Banks. What do you think is your best card that you got sitting here today for anybody?
That I've got sitting here, well, I've been doing a lot of sales on the internet, so I've sold a lot of my stuff over the internet. But I'm not sure what the best card would be. I've got some pretty nice autographs down there: Willie Mays, Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams, and Mickey Mantle, and those are pretty big names.
I imagine so. You say you do the internet business. How does that work for you from that point of view as compared to face-to-face?
Actually, it's a little bit easier to sell. It's tough because you don't know who you're dealing with, and you don't know how honest they are, especially when you're buying. You know, I try to be as upfront as possible,
Sure.
and but you're a little leery of that. But then you, just like in real, face-to-face life, you make a few contacts and you get a couple good trades, and you can trust those guys. So it's working well.
Yep, absolutely. This is the 8th annual show. Have you been to all 8 of them?
Yep, I sure have. Yes, I have been all 8. I teach here at Lee, so
Okay.
yeah, so.
All right. Well, I'm sure that everybody appreciates that. I know Ty certainly does. It's a great fundraising effort that they have every year, so they sure do appreciate it. And we thank you for your time today.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
Hi, Mom.
Well, we are here with John Cain, athletic director, and we certainly appreciate you taking time today, John. What's an event such as this mean for the local school district?
Well, it really puts our school in a positive light, and we get all these vendors out here, and of course Denny Mclain, and today Ray Bentley, which was awesome. And it brings people in the community, and actually outside of the community, into our school, and they say, hey, this is Lee. There are a lot of positive things that go on here, and we're very proud of this event, which has been going on for, 9.
This is the 8th year here. Yep.
Since so many of them.
Oh, I bet.
They all kind of blend.
Yep.
But no, it's a great event, and I've been to every one, and they're excellent. They raise money for our baseball program.
Yep.
And as we all know, public schools and athletics are always the ones that take the hit.
Yep.
When the government decides to start slashing.
Absolutely.
So these kind of things help keep us above water. It
Gets
really
tougher and tougher every year, I imagine.
Gets tougher and tougher every month.
I bet so, especially this year with all the rescheduling that you've had to do with the lovely West Michigan weather we've been having out
for
there.
basketball, it was horrible. We lucked out a little bit because we actually played a game right before Christmas break, and everybody else canceled that day. So we were actually a little bit ahead of the game. But last spring was the worst spring ever for cancellations. So we're, I'm not going to say it's global warming, but something's going on because two terms in a row.
Yep, absolutely.
It's been terrible.
Absolutely. Now, did I see that this also supports the local youth football program from today?
Of course, we hired Coach Ty as our varsity football coach 2 years ago. And the first thing he did was he started in-district youth football. 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. No, 4th, 5th, 6th graders.
Okay.
And we've had over 50 kids 2 years in a row.
Wow.
And we haven't had a lot of success in our football program over the years.
Yep.
This is the only way to do it.
Absolutely.
You start with those young kids.
Yep.
And, as far as I know, SKRA, some of the other youth football programs, if they're even around anymore, nobody knows. I don't know. And they're expensive. We don't charge our kids anything.
Wow.
And our school board came up with some funding that first year.
Yep.
Got equipment, uniforms, and basic things, but you got to have it. So the kids can come out and learn football, and you don't have to worry about hitting the pocketbook of the parents.
Absolutely, that's great, and especially like you say at that level.
Yes.
To be able to support the high school level and the JV level and the freshman level and so on, you've got to get them going at that level.
You have to. A lot of our kids walk into middle school, sometimes high school, and never played organized football. Never been told how to block, how to tackle.
Yep.
And the results show for themselves on the
Absolutely.
field. The top of the heap in our division is Hopkins.
Yep.
Their kids play third grade on, sometimes before then.
Yep.
So we have to. You can either cry about it or do something about it. And Coach Ty came in, he's doing something about it.
That hats off to you from that point of view, because like you say, I went to Hopkins, I graduated from there a long time ago, but don't hold that against me right now.
They're good people.
But it is a good organization. Like you say, even back when I was there, they did start them at that level. And they had the rocket football, they had whatever going on leading up to that varsity level. And like you say, it shows.
Yeah, and hopefully in the near future, we'll be raising some trophies.
There you
Take
go.
them away because Hopkins wins it up. I think 3 years in a row, maybe they won.
I think
at least 2, maybe 3.
I think it was. And well, we do the various teams and everything else and games and everything. We certainly are seeing the improvement when we've done the Wyoming League games. I think we had them a couple times this last year, and you certainly can see the different product that is being put out on the field.
Yeah, this year was this past fall. It seemed maybe we took a little step back as far as win-loss record. We played some tough teams, but that's going to happen. You're not just going to all of a sudden turn it around. You're not going to win the championship the first year once you've not won one for 30, 40 years maybe. So, you're going to have the peaks and valleys. We got our entire offensive line returning. That's a positive.
Absolutely.
And we got some young, talented athletes coming up. Hopefully they can contribute. And, as an athletic director, participation's important to me. Wins are important to me. But I don't judge a coach and say, you have to win this many. You have to win this many. You have to win this many championships. But I want to see consistent improvement.
Sure.
And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to win more games than the year before. I want to see student involvement, student development, and then you build up.
Yep, absolutely. Are your numbers growing from that point of view of the participation?
Yes. Actually, last year, and I haven't done the numbers this year. We're still, we're through almost through the second winter season. Last year was our highest participation since I've been an athletic director. I don't know what the numbers were before. But
and how many years is that you've been?
This is my 5th year.
Okay.
And this year, our enrollment's actually going up this year again. But I'll have to compare the numbers. My initial guess is we'll probably be about the same percentage this year. But we had such a big increase last year. So that's still good. At least I don't think we're going down. So as long as kids are participating, that's the most important thing.
Exactly. It's amazing the levels that you can get. The numbers are always great, but just to see the attitudes of the kids and the learning experiences. Because generally athletes are better in the school rooms as well as on the field. It seems to go hand in hand with that for the most part.
For the most part, I agree. I prefer. This isn't a sexist remark.
Nope.
The girl athletes, it seems to be really the truth.
Okay.
Boys still struggle a little bit. I don't know what the reasons for that are. But definitely, as far as female athletes, they seem to be the best students. You take the top students and you look at them, top 20, and almost all of them play a sport. And I think that's impressive.
That says a lot right there. Absolutely.
And the boys too. Not maybe to the same degree as the girls, but definitely the girls.
Absolutely. Well, we certainly appreciate your time today, John, and you're doing good things here. It's very impressive with what's going on, and we certainly thank you for it.
And once again, I really appreciate your support. You guys support us all the time, and you're always welcome here.
Glad to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Moll back here with Amanda Emelander, daughter of Ty Emelander, senior softball pitcher and basketball player and volleyball player, did I hear?
Yes.
All right, just coming to the end of the basketball season. How did that go this year?
It was a long season.
Yeah,
and we have districts on Monday, so.
Okay, where do you go for those?
Kansas City.
Okay. So a little bit of a travel for that.
Yeah.
Coming down to the end of the senior year, is it kind of a tough one from that point of view?
It's sad, and I'm not really ready to grow up and be on my own yet. I'm sure once it gets here, I'm gonna be excited, but I love Lee, and I'm going away for college, so
okay.
We'll see.
Right. But then after that, then comes softball season, and I hear you're an amazing softball pitcher.
I love softball.
Do you? Is that your favorite sport?
Yes, definitely.
And I hear you wear the number 17.
Yeah.
Denny Mclain would be pleased with that, I'm sure.
I wear it because of him.
There you go. That's quite the tribute from that point of view. You mentioned you're going away for college. What's that entitling? Where are you going to be going?
I'm going to Spring Arbor University.
Okay. And that is over by
Jackson, Michigan.
Okay. And do you know for what as of yet or not?
I think I'm going to go undecided.
Okay.
And just take my basic classes and decide from there. But I definitely want to go into something with sports and sports medicine.
Yep, absolutely. So. I know you had a softball injury or a basketball injury last year where you had the problem. Is that all okay and everything is fine now? Or?
Every once in a while during a basketball game, I'll twist it wrong and then it will start to bug me again, but otherwise it really doesn't bug me.
I know we were doing the game that you went down in, and we weren't sure you were going to get up from that point of view. It did not look good from our sideline.
Yeah, it hurt. But.
I imagine so. The program that's going on today, what does something like this mean to you as a high school athlete when you see the support that you get on something like this?
I have become really good friends with Denny and Sharon Mclain, and it's just they're genuinely good people, and it's nice to see that there's people out there who do care about the smaller schools and not the big, huge schools just because they want their name out there, and they come here and they show support, and they're just really amazing people.
That's an excellent point. So often you hear these athletes that are doing things that, you know, like you say, strictly to have their name, or it seems to us as the public anyway, to have their name put on it. And this is the second year that I've been here, and Denny has been here for all 8 of them, I'm understanding, along with multiple other athletes. And just to hear the way that he even talks about the community is amazing.
He keeps coming back.
Exactly. So. That says something right there all by itself. Yeah. From the point of view of various coaches and everything else, that's probably the hardest thing during the senior year, to have to say goodbye to all of these people.
Yes, definitely. It's sad.
Yep.
But it's gotta happen.
Exactly. At the same time, it's a growing experience. I know a lot of people have enjoyed watching you. We have certainly enjoyed watching you on the games that we've done here. And we wish you nothing but the best. Will you be playing anything when you go to Spring Arbor?
Yes, I'm going to go and play softball there.
Wonderful. Good for you. Well, we certainly appreciate the time. We wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're here with Tom Brooks, one of the vendors at the show today. How's it going today so far, Tom?
It's going outstanding. Always have a good time at Lee High School.
Absolutely. This is the 8th one. Have you been here for all 8 of them?
I missed the first one, but I've been helping Ty ever since.
Well, I know he appreciates it. You've got a great selection going on here as we look at your table in front. You've got a couple of real big pictures and plaques up there. Can you tell us anything about them?
Well, I'm a huge 68 Tiger fan. So I decided to put something together that all the fans of 68 could enjoy. This is the first one I had done with a scorecard and the 68 cards, and I wanted to expand it a little bit for others. So I got a picture of Lowledge in Freeham celebrating Game 7 victory, and then I put the 1969 Topps cards depicting the World Series from Game 1 to Celebration. And I did it in black and white, so it's a little old school. My wife was asking me, well, why black and white? And I said, because it looks good. And she goes, well, color's better. And I said, honey, there is color. You've got the blue of the autographs and the red of the cards. So I think that pops out, and people really enjoy this. It's been a really coveted piece today.
Absolutely, I can believe that. I walked by the table, and that was certainly one that caught my eye as I did it, and then Gary was telling me a little bit about it. Job well done. I hope it sells well for you at some point.
I do too.
Absolutely.
It's hard to let the good ones go.
A lot of time and effort put into it, but it's well worth it from that point.
I put a lot of thought in this because I'm a collector myself as well as a dealer. I stand on both sides of the table, but sometimes it's hard to let some of the stuff go because it's so prized.
Absolutely. You say you have been on both sides of the table. Is there anything in particular you're looking for as you're on the other side of the table if you go out to a show?
Yes, a 1952 Mickey Mantle rookie.
There you go. If anybody catches this show that's looking for that has a 1952 Mickey Mantle rookie, we've got the man for you here that will take it off your hands. I'm sure at a price, but he will take it from you. What do you think so far people are looking for? Obviously, you got the Mclain stuff, the 68 Tigers, all the Tiger stuff. Ray Bentley's coming in. Anything that anybody's looking for so far?
The one thing that I noticed was lacking at the show was the brand new cards. It seems to be a lot of vintage here, which is good because you can't get the vintage at Walmart or Myers or whatever like that. But I haven't seen a lot of the 2014 Topps packs and stuff like that, so maybe that's missing, but other than that, it's a well-rounded show.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think part of that is just simply the cost of what the cards are these days? I mean, I remember as a kid you could go in and pick up a whole box and, you could get 3 boxes and you would have a whole set basically. And now you get so many duplicates and the price of them, you have knocked the young kids out of the fun time altogether, I believe.
Unfortunately, the day of 10-cent packs with a stick of rotten bubble gum, which we loved, and so did our dentist, are gone. I used to get maybe $1 for an ounce or something like that, and I would run right up to the local grocery and buy 10 packs of Topps baseball cards and be so happy. So, yeah, those days are done. You're looking at $2 a pack, $5 a pack. There's packs as much as $500 per pack, which is crazy. Absolutely. I don't buy those because I don't covet them like I do the vintage cards.
Now, how many shows do you do during the course of a year now, Tom?
I'm going to say I do close to 7 shows a year. So usually from fall until late spring, and after that I find that in the summer shows, it's hard to get people to come to because there's so many activities to be done in the summer. Whereas in February, I mean, what are you doing? There's really nothing to do. If your sock drawer is sorted and you've helped the wife with the silverware drawer, what else are you going to do? There's no football and baseball hasn't started. So good time to do a card show.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Well, we certainly appreciate the time that you took with us today, Tom, and for coming out again this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Pleasure.
Inside this town, and every day is all the same, and you just wanna get out. So let's make our move. We got time to lose. We don't need a man.
Well, once again, we're very happy to have with us Dennis Mclain, 8th year here at Lee School. Denny, we appreciate very much what you do. Come here and help out with youth activities.
Well, we have a great time over here. Lee has been something that we have seen come a long way in the last 8 years. I mean, the programs are thriving now. The things are looking good, and it's only because of the people out there doing what they do.
Yeah.
And they come out for this event. It's wonderful, and all the other little things that Ty and Denny do during the season are just terrific. You guys got to keep doing it, because just because we're here this year, God only knows what's happening next year. And for the next 10, 20, 50 years, these programs got to remain intact. So you got to do what you got to do.
It's the smallest school district in the area,
right?
But it's real close knit.
It is.
And
it is absolutely.
Community support is great.
And we see the same people every year.
Yeah.
No matter where, if we go out to a restaurant, we go out to a function elsewhere around town, a dinner, It's unbelievable. It's the same people everywhere, and it's great. I mean, they support the community, and that's you don't see that everywhere.
No, you don't. You've been doing a lot of these type of programs lately?
Yeah, we probably do 150 to 200 events a year.
You're coming back, I think, in March, aren't you?
As a matter of fact, I'm coming back next week. I've got a show at the Voss Center with a company over there for a couple of days, which is going to have a good time. And then we've got a big Tiger debate coming up in March. And we will be, right now it's still tentatively scheduled for March 7th. That may change because of the weather. We've changed it once because of the weather. We don't want to take any chances.
No.
And, so the later we make it, we might be better off.
Yeah.
So we're going to make that decision by Monday, because this weather this year has been
a very, very different winter.
Just horrible.
Yeah.
And it never gets better. Now we got a little bit of a break today, but by 5 o'clock today, it could be dramatically different.
Well, these side streets around here are just ridiculous.
God.
I mean, it's off clear ice.
And the snow piles are 5, 6, 8 feet high.
You got to be very careful when you pull out onto a street. So.
And it took me about 2 or 3 weeks ago when I was over here. You guys were having a lot of it. It took me to go 110 miles. It took me 3 hours and 40 minutes to get home. I mean, it was a night of terror.
Well, so, we talk about the Tigers every time we come here. Real different look this year.
Yeah, and I hate to say this, I don't think it's as good a look as it's been in the past. You traded 2 guys. You got rid of 2 guys who did not need to be gotten rid of. First of all, Pfister, who's probably the best pitcher on the team, you traded him, and you didn't get much back. You didn't get much substance back. And I don't mean Pfister had the best fastball or curveball or slider. Pfister had the best pitching ideas of anybody on the club. He knew how to manage what he had, and he was very good at what he did. And then, of course, you trade Fielder. Let me warn everybody right now. Fielder is what allowed Cabrera to hit 340.
Right.
Because nobody wanted to pitch against Fielder with people on base.
Yep.
And see, I always thought Jimmy did it backwards. I thought Jimmy should have had Fielder hitting in front of Cabrera, and Fielder would have hit 340, 350. Whoever was hitting in front of the other was going to have the big year. And I think only because Jimmy is a little bit bullheaded, as we all know, Jimmy is not going to change his mind about once he takes a cement stand, and he certainly did. But the bottom line is, don't be upset if he doesn't hit 340, and don't be upset if he doesn't knock in 120 runs, because they have altered the complexion and the structure of this club. And I think other bad things can happen. And we're not defensively, we're not as good. I think there's still, listen, I think one of the biggest needs is the catching department. We don't have a good catcher.
Third base.
He's a good kid, he works hard, he does all the things, but for some reason, there are some guys that get it and some guys that don't. And at this point, he's one of those guys that don't. And I can tell you, and you may know who I'm talking about, one of the great guys who have ever put on a Detroit Tiger uniform has said to me, he just won't listen. So you can figure out who that guy is telling me. And it's unfortunate, because if you listen to this guy, you can only get better. And the guy at third base, Castellano, is going to be a superstar. The problem is we traded the other superstar, Garcia. And of course, that was a whole kind of a mess thing going on with the ball club, domestic-oriented actually. But when Garcia left, he was the best prospect in baseball. And I suspect he will be a legitimate superstar in a year or 2.
And then the manager, of course, is new, young, inexperienced.
New. I mean, new isn't the right word. I mean, he's never managed, and I don't think it's as much as a challenge, as much as it is a problem for him to have to deal with a culture. We have a lot of Latino guys in this club. And if they ever get mad at you, if they ever really get upset with you, like when Pudge was here and Pudge got all upset with a manager, there's a tendency for those guys to kind of quit or play softly, not take chances. I hope that if in fact that happens, that it doesn't do that like it happened once before. But I think that's as tough as challenges, the cultural issues you'll have to deal with, and they are tough.
Supposedly going to be a team with more speed, but
got to get on base.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't get on base, you can't steal.
Can't steal first.
And and you can sacrifice, but you got to have those guys that can get on that base ahead of these hitters. And it doesn't look like we've got even a leadoff spot. We haven't been consistent there in the last few years.
Well, you know, those are things you're going to find out in spring training, and does Osmus have the experience to identify that? Why did they hire him? I mean, there's never been a reason given other than, I thought he was the right guy. Well, you know, Jimmy Leland was the right guy. He had the experience. This Osmus thing reminds me of what they did to Alan Trammell. They set him up for failure. I hope they haven't done this to him, and because he's going to take the heat. And it's not going to be his fault, because Dombrowski is the guy that puts the team together. Dombrowski is the guy that's supposed to watch everything, and let's see if he's watched all the holes that need to be filled in here. We got a bunch.
Well, Trammell's doing really good with Gibson. The two of them are a good team.
And I think Alan, that's the kind of coach he is. He may get another shot one day, but he's going to have to get a lot more experience to really be able to understand all the positions. See, I have a tough time with position play. Catchers I'm okay with, pitchers I'm okay with managing, because pitchers and catchers play every inning, every pitch. Guys who play shortstop in the outfield don't, if you know what I'm trying to say. So let's just see what happens. I'd love to see Alan get another shot. Gibson's done well in Arizona. He'll continue to do well. And you know, Gibby is one of those guys that can have that TNT explosion from time to time. So Alan might be the right guy sitting there for an opportunity. You don't know.
How do you see the Central Division? Who's the strong team there this year?
It's still us. We're not as strong as we were.
Probably the weaker division, right?
It is the weakest division in baseball. It's been that way for 3 or 4 years. I mean, if we don't win the division, that really talks about how badly this club is put together. But you know, there's only one club that's really made some improvement, and that's Kansas City, and they're still looking around for some more hitters. If they get another couple hitters, some guys that can really make some impact, they've got a shot. Cleveland is Cleveland. I don't care what they do, how they did it, how they finished. They are still Cleveland. They talk about their pitching staff. Whatever pitching staff they're talking about, they apparently are not talking about the one they have in place, because they are mediocre at best. And so when you look at our club, if Verlander stays healthy, if Scherzer, who had lightning in a bottle last year, can win 14, 15, where he normally would be, then I think you'll win the division. I don't think you're going to win anything easily. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think, and I suggest that if we had a better catcher, maybe, but I really believe in good catchers. I pitched against the best catcher in, I think, the history of the game, freehand, mechanically. And I haven't seen a freehand here in a long time. Parrish was close. Parrish was very good, but there's only been one Bill freehand here. And here's a guy who made the All-Star team 11 times in his career and doesn't ever get a vote for the Hall of Fame. Makes no sense to me. Yet, if you kiss a lot of butts in New York and some of these other places, you can get a guy into the Hall of Fame. Makes no sense.
Which is the strong division in the American League? The West?
Oh, I think the West and the East too. Listen, whenever you got the Yankees and Boston in the same place, you've got a hell of a division. And as far as the Western Division, you got a lot of good clubs out there. Look what Seattle did. They spent a lot of money this year. Anaheim spent a lot of money. So you got Texas. I mean, that is a real competitive division. And they're fun to watch. The Western Division is fun to watch because they do so many crazy things. They run the bases. They do a lot of bunting. They do a lot of hitting and running. And when they play baseball to that degree, it's an awful lot more fun to watch.
Yankees, of course, will be without Rodriguez.
Yeah.
And
Jeter's
last year.
Yeah.
Good career.
Yeah, quite a guy. I heard him talking the other day about having a family finally. And I'm thinking, all of the people that have played this game that have raised their children while playing, yeah, it's a struggle because the husband's on the road all the time. But on the other hand, you're on the road making $5 million a year. It can't be that tough. And
yeah, you're right there.
I suppose Derek has enjoyed the benefits of who he is in the great city of New York.
Yeah.
And I think anybody with a little bit of just a half-cocked brain would understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, read between the lines.
But Denny, we see so many of these athletes in all the professional sports. They make big money, and after they retire, it only takes them a few years just to go broke.
No, that's not true. That's unfair.
Well, there's some of them.
We're talking. I don't think Major League Baseball players or football or anybody else reflect any greater amount of guys having trouble than society in general. I don't think it's any bigger and any less. The difference is when you've got a high profile, we're going to read about it. We don't read about Mr. Jones,
that's true.
who lives in the suburbs, who bankrupt somebody for $90 billion. We don't read about that, but we do read about Kurt Schilling, who, that was a pretty serious one. I think it was for well over $100 million. He got the state, I think, for 40 or 50, 60 million too. Wound up, going through bankruptcy himself and everything else. But those things happen. I mean, it's not that he didn't want it to happen. He didn't start out to take 60 million from the state. I mean, people make mistakes. God knows, I know. And you don't do anything on purpose. That's what people have to understand. And we are just a normal side of life. The difference is the profile.
Yeah, well, of course, the media picks those and makes a big deal of it.
It helps, rather than being able to use that newspaper immediately for the bottom of your bird cage, you got to read an article once in a while to see who had a problem.
Yeah, you can't.
That was a joke.
These reporters.
That was a joke.
Huh?
That was a joke.
It was?
Slap him, would you?
Denny, sometimes you get to me. Okay, let's move on.
All right.
Which way you want to go after that. Okay, what's ahead for you the next couple of years? What plans you got?
Well, we do an awful lot of personal appearances. We do probably 150 to 200 a year. We've got, in a major way, the baseball collection, sports collection business. We've got an awful lot of memorabilia, and something we should have been doing a long time ago. But and of course, there's little things that we do business-wise, and I enjoy life. I mean, my wife Sharon and I have been married 50 years, and we still enjoy seeing each other every day, I think. And she's still a lot of fun to be around. She's been very sick. She continues to be sick, and we do an awful lot of praying to make sure that she's around next week and next month. Because hell, I don't know what I would do without her. I have no idea. She's been a part of my life for more than 50 years, and I can't imagine her not being there.
Well, I understand.
And no one else is going to do my underwear.
My wife and I have been 57 years. I can understand what you're saying.
You know what I mean? I mean, you don't even know where your underwear drawer is. So
my wife was in the hospital for 3 weeks, and I found out what it was like, and it's not very nice at all.
I agree with you, unless you live in New York.
Yeah. Okay, I got that one.
Okay. So it hasn't been that long.
No.
Okay.
Well, Denny, once again, thank you. We really appreciate your being here for 8 years
pleasure.
now.
We've had a great time.
It's just wonderful to have you.
There should be sometimes, somehow, some way, we got to all come together one day and have a day or a night for Ty Emelander and Denny. God, I can never pronounce Denny's last. How do you pronounce it?
Gruendijk.
These two guys have been saints for this school, honest to God.
Yeah.
What happens in the sports department, they've had so much to do with. And they've had so much to do with keeping the programs alive. One day we got to have a right kind of dinner for these guys that we can honor them and let people know what they've done, because they've been real saints.
I can tell you that Ty had great bringing up.
Yeah, he did.
His mother was a great friend of my wife, and his dad and I came from the same high school together. We're friends, and we've known these kids ever since they were little.
Yep.
And just a good Christian bringing up, and they work for other people.
Yeah,
They're not selfish at all.
And the other thing is, it's like I told them both the other day. I said, listen, first of all, there's nothing worse than a reformed fat guy. Okay, nothing. And I am a reformed fat guy, and I've lost 157 pounds. But the thing about it is, they really look heavy to me now. and last night at dinner, I was on the two of them all night. I said, my God, you're going to have a cow, you're going to have a bull, whatever you're having, you're about to have it. Let's stop down now. I said, let's cool it off a little bit. And as I passed my extra part of my meal on to Denny and Ty, and they ate it. So, I mean, they were eating last night like they were going to the gas chamber, for God's sakes. The last supper they're going to ever have. So,
well, you're right.
They are good guys.
You're right. They are a big asset to this school.
They really are.
They really love kids. It's what you can tell.
They do,
and they work hard with them. So
yes, they do.
Anyway, thank you.
And by the way, Amanda, Ty's daughter, got a scholarship.
That's right, to a good Christian
4-year,
school.
Christian or not, it's a great opportunity to get a 4-year.
She's a great young lady.
She can pitch, boy, and she is one hell of a little girl. I mean, she is terrific. And you know what? I've seen her grow up since 8 years ago. I mean, and now she's this beautiful 17, 18-year-old young lady, and you just, you know, the way the kids mature and they come up and how they act and how they treat, especially older people, guys like yourself. And the bottom line simply is they have perfect manners, and that's what we look for, and they have absolutely had that passed down to them by
I agree. We should
Ty.
do something special
Absolutely.
for them. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks again, Denny.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. Get them back,
Mclain.
get them back to the home.
Summer breezes blown through my room, pretty flowers getting ready to bloom, but I can't help noticing there's one thing gone. It was a year ago when you caught my eye. How could I ever know you'd make me cry? Now I got to.
Well, once again, we're happy to have with us Jane Overmire. We've talked to you several times before.
Yes.
Good to be here again, supporting this program.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
The sports card show raises a lot of money for the sporting goods here, for the activities here at Lee High School. And of course, the field where they are,
Yeah.
named after your father, Stubby. And now we even have the announcing booth after Denny Mclain. So we've got two big names over there.
I think it's wonderful, and I think what they do with the card show to generate some revenue for the athletic department is wonderful.
Well, Ty and Dennis do a great job. They work very hard at it, put in a lot of hours and everything, but they also are very, very interested in kids, and they take big interest in them.
I think that that's wonderful, and I know that anyone that's been in I've taught school for 35 years. We know that some of the places where we really need to do a lot of work is keeping our kids active and keeping them off the streets, and I think that that's what they're doing here, and they're giving them an alternative, and I think giving them hope that there's something out there for them to do in later years, and I think it's wonderful.
Where did you teach?
I taught in Grand Rapids.
Did you?
And at several different schools because I taught phys ed.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah, that's kind of challenging.
Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier, about people losing and winning, and sometimes, as we mentioned, sometimes you learn more when you lose than you do when you win.
That's right. I think it's real character building. So
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. The program that they have here, I think, is wonderful for the kids.
Well, there's nothing better than seeing young people develop, and we've covered them over 30 years here at WKTV, and now we're seeing second generations, and it's just wonderful. The athletic programs, I don't know, they bring something out of kids that it's just different.
It's a wonderful learning experience. I think the kids have an opportunity to learn how to cooperate with each other, how to win graciously as well as lose,
Yep.
Compassion, and so I think that that's important in the athletic programs.
And it's discipline. The coach, okay, you play it my way or you don't play.
Or you don't play.
You learn that. So, yeah, you must have had a good time then working with kids all these years.
I did. Again, it's challenging, and our athletic programs seem to be the ones that struggle the most financially, and that's why I'm so pleased that they were doing this for Lee High School, because anytime there has to be revenue cut, it seems to be our athletic programs, and I think that those programs in many cases keep kids in school, and I think that it's important to make sure that those are funded, and I think something like this really, really helps.
Well, and then of course, in order to play, you have to maintain a certain grade average and be there. So you have to work at your studies.
That's part of the discipline.
Yeah, it is. So but anyway, we appreciate your being here, and always we remember your father quite well, very well. I do anyway. I'm old enough to remember when he was playing, and we certainly appreciate your being here.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's nice to see you again.
Thank you.
Sunday's here and the bacon's on. The eggs are frying and the coffee's strong. Heading for the backporch after breakfast is done.
Well, we
Just to
welcome
feel
Ray
the
Bentley to our
of a Sunday
program
morning.
today. And Ray, thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Appreciate your help with the card show and bringing people in. And,
Yeah, it was nice. This is a neat thing to do.
yeah, you do it quite often?
No, believe it or not, there's not a huge demand.
No.
But whenever I get an opportunity to do it, I love to.
You know what I mentioned to you before? You and I have a similar background. You graduated Hudsonville High School, and so did I.
Yeah, the Salad City.
Yeah,
buddy.
Celery Center and all that, farming. Yeah, I used to.
Did you work in the muck fields
Yes,
in your
I
day?
did.
Well,
I did.
We got that in common too.
Yeah, I crawled in the onion patch.
I was the best toe weeder ever in Hudsonville. I wouldn't bend over. I'd just grab them between the toes and flip them out there.
Well, Ray, you had a very, very, what do I want to say? Different career. You was in USFL and the NFL. Now you're in broadcasting. You were in national broadcasting. You started out, obviously, high school football. Then you went to, what, Central Michigan? Was
Yes,
it?
sir.
Yeah. And what, played 4 years there?
Yes. Yeah, Herb Duramity was my head coach there.
Yes, I remember that name.
79, freshman year, which I played on a few special teams. Didn't get to any real football, linebacking anyway, if you will. And then started the following 3 years, left 82. Actually left school a semester early to play in the USFL.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, how was that?
That was awesome, man.
That,
It
was
a
that
great
was that about
opportunity.
the first years of it?
It was. The league started in 1983 and lasted 3 years. So I went with the Michigan Panthers. I was a territorial draft selection. What they did is they took the 5 big schools in Michigan and assigned them to the Michigan Panthers, and they had first pickings out of kids from those schools, Michigan, Michigan State, Central, Eastern, and Western. And then if you weren't selected by the Michigan Panthers, then you were thrown into the overall draft. Mm-hmm. But I was a territorial selection from the Panthers, and at the time, I was told Hank Bulla actually was from Michigan State, had coached my father there, was coaching the defense. He was a coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals, and told me he would have drafted me in the 11th or 12th round had I stuck around, because the draft went that far back in those days. And you know, that sounds great, Hank, but I think I'm going to take this opportunity to play in my home state. My dad was sick at the time. It was a chance to be close to home and play where he could watch, and I went for it.
Where was your home field then, the Panthers?
We played at the Silver Dome.
Silver Dome, okay.
Yeah.
And you were a linebacker?
Yes, sir.
Been a linebacker your whole career?
Pretty much born a linebacker.
Yeah. Of course, then you had another USF team you played for also.
Yeah, after 1984, the Michigan Panthers actually merged with the Oakland Invaders.
Oh, okay.
And so they selected the guys off the Panther roster that they wanted and took us out there, and I played for the Invaders in 85. Now in 83 we won the title with the Panthers. Yeah. I proudly wear this ring that we got for that. In 84 we lost in the playoffs in a triple overtime game to Los Angeles. And then in 85 with the Invaders we made it to the title game and lost a heartbreaker to I believe it was either Baltimore or Philadelphia. I think it was Philadelphia at the time. They had switched from Baltimore to Philadelphia.
How did you get with the Buffalo team?
Well, it goes back to Hank Bulla again. Coach Bulla was then the head coach with the Bills. And when the league folded in 1985, I went to training camp with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. My head coach with the Michigan Panthers, Jim Stanley, was the defensive coordinator with the Buccaneers. Lehman Bennett was the head coach. They brought me down there. I was in camp for 3 weeks. I thought I was better than the guys they had, quite frankly. Of course I did. But they sent me packing on the final cut. And so I was looking to extend my career. I had actually gone up to Montreal, where Marv Levy was the general manager up there. He had won Grey Cups as their head coach previously, and he was helping out. And he had seen me play because he was with the Chicago Blitz in the USFL. And so Marv brought me up to Montreal. They made a nice contract offer, but I told Marv I want to play in the NFL. That's been my lifelong dream. I'm going to wait and see what happens. And in the meantime, Coach Bulla had contacted me and said as soon as I get a roster spot, I'm going to get you up here in Buffalo. And after 2 weeks of the season, it happened. Somebody got hurt, and they signed me in Buffalo week 3 of the '86 season. And I was up there for the next 6 years. And then my final year, I ended up going via what they called Plan B free agency. And I got a nice offer from the Cincinnati Bengals, who their defensive coaching staff had been my coaches when I was with the Oakland Invaders. So it's kind of, they wanted me back. I knew their system, and they liked me. So I went to Cincinnati, played 2 games. We won them both. I had scored my only touchdown in my career.
Really?
Things were looking up.
How'd that happen?
Well, it's purely accident. No. Some guy fumbled, and I scooped it up, and I've never run so fast in my life. 75 yards to the house for a touchdown, and then I strapped the oxygen mask on and sat out the next series for running so far. But the very next game, we played the Raiders at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. This is 1992, and Marcus Allen took the ball on a play we called the overdraw, and I knew it was coming. I slid across and went up to fill the hole, and their tight end Ethan Horton dove at my leg, and I got pinned my left leg against the pile in his helmet, and my body launched and my leg didn't, and it tore 3 ligaments and ruptured the capsule, and I made the tackle. But that was the last one I would make.
And you've had both knees.
I've had surgery on both of them several times. I'm doing okay.
Good. Now, you were in the Super Bowl twice.
Yes, Super
that
Bowl
had to be something
25
really
and
special.
26. It was unbelievable. Everything you can imagine. You know, especially Super Bowl 25, the emotion. You know, that was our country was at war. It was the first Gulf War, and it was also with a quirk with the schedule. Normally there's a 2-week period from the championship games to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
This one was the very next week. So we beat the Raiders 51-3 on Sunday in Buffalo in the AFC Championship game. And Monday morning we were on a plane heading to Tampa. It happened fast, believe me. And that week was just everything you can imagine. It was unbelievable. And then the game itself, you know, there were helicopter gunships surrounding the stadium. They were worried about terrorism, and a great sense of patriotism. You know, our game was going to go on. They weren't going to affect our way of life, and it was very emotional. And then they had the flyover with the Jets, and then Whitney Houston sang the most moving rendition of the national anthem you ever want to hear. I was crying like a baby. There wasn't a dry eye in the house. And I got to tell you, before kickoff, I was emotionally spent. I was like, oh my God, now I got to play football. But it was a game where it came down to the very end. We lost by 1 point, 20-19 to the Giants. Our kicker missed a 47-yard field goal at the buzzer. But I got to tell you, we should have won that game 100 different ways. I don't hold him responsible in any way, shape, or form. I'm a kicker back in high school. I missed one that cost our team an undefeated season. We ended up 8-0-1 because I missed an extra point against Comstock Park. So I could relate a little bit there. But I just looked at it as, you know, that's just another reason why we lost, because there were plenty of them.
Well, I played in Hudsonville myself. In fact, the first year I played was 1949. We
had the leather helmet, or didn't you buy it?
Leather helmets.
Okay.
Leather helmets, we did. Senior year, we got the plastic helmets like quarterback. But, yeah.
Face mask?
Huh? Yeah, one bar.
One bar. Yeah, that'll
single
help, right?
and they didn't have much rules about grabbing face masks in those
probably
days
not.
either.
We weren't aware that was an option, huh?
It was a fun time, and high school sports is great, and college sports. In fact, I mentioned with Denny too. You know, talk about. I love high school and college sports. I'm not that big a pro football fan. College football is really exciting to me, and so is college basketball.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I don't like today's NFL, frankly. I don't like the rules, the way they're changing the game. But more than that, I don't like guys celebrating themselves. You'll get a guy that makes a tackle on a kickoff return, that they return the ball to midfield, where a guy makes a tackle and he jumps up and he's beating on his chest.
Dancing all over.
I mean, come on. It's the greatest team game on the planet, and yet they try to make it about themselves. You know, if one guy doesn't do his job, then you can't do yours, and that's so you should celebrate each other. and together. I hate it when they go off and make a big deal about themselves. That just, I don't like to see that. So I agree with you. I don't think you get near as much of that in the college game or the high school game. I much prefer to watch those.
Now, how was it that you transitioned into the broadcasting field? You went with Fox first or ESPN? Which was it?
Actually, after I hurt my knee, I was faced with my football mortality, if you will. And tried to come back that following year, and the knee never responded. I couldn't do it. So I didn't know what to do. It was the toughest, really, time frame of my life, trying to figure out what to do. What am I going to do now at this point? I had a nice head start, but then again, I was behind. You know, everyone in their professions, they had already been at it for 10 years or so, and I hadn't. So I wanted to stay around football. I loved the game, grew up with it, and I looked into coaching. But at the time, I had 5 children, ages 10 and under, and the commitment to coach, the time away from the family, I wasn't willing to sacrifice that. So I figured, all right, what's next? Maybe broadcasting. And so I went to a seminar actually down in Dallas, Texas, that Craig James put on, and I went down there, and I kind of enjoyed it. I had a good background in writing, and that kind of plays into the broadcasting. And the best advice I got down there was they said, get into radio. That's where you're going to learn, your chops. That's where you're going to learn to be comfortable with your voice, and it's there's no crutch of a picture that you can rely on. It's theater of the mind. You got to paint that picture yourself.
Exactly.
And so lo and behold, I get home from that, and I get a call from Wood Radio, and they need a sports director. Their guy Jay Allen was leaving to take another job, and so I took that as a sign from above that maybe I ought to give that a shot. And I did, and I was awful. Oh my God, it was horrible. I was so terrible. I would listen to it and almost be in tears of how bad I was. But I stuck with it, and I had a great mentor in Gary Allen. And the best thing he ever taught me was when that light turns on and the microphone's open, put a smile on your face. People can hear that smile, and that wins people over. And then it doesn't matter so much of what you say, because now you have empathy with them, and they're we're smiling together. We're buddies now. And that really helped. And then I got comfortable finally after, I was so worried about every single word. I would write it down and then I'd try to read it back, and finally I just crumpled the paper up.
Doesn't work.
Forget about it. This is what it is. This is who I am. That's how it's going to be. And ever since that time, actually, my career took off. I've been blessed and fortunate. I started doing college football games in the Mid-American Conference. My head coach at Central Michigan, Herb Duramity, got me involved in that, got me a chance there. And I did that for about 4 years. And in the meantime, I was the Detroit Lions. Bill Keenest helped me out over there. Dan Dickerson, who's the voice of the Tigers right now,
local man,
was trying to break into that market as well. And so we actually would go call the Lions preseason games into a tape recorder to try and develop what they call an audition reel, so that we could send it out to various outlets and show them what we could do, because it's so hard to get an opportunity. And so I did that for a couple of years, and I finally put enough of a reel together that I caught the attention of Fox. And Fox sent me over to NFL Europe to do a NFL Europe package, a couple of games. And based on that, they hired me, and I did a few games as an analyst. And they were going to bring me back that next year, and they were short a play-by-play guy. And I had a few beers at the seminar, and I said, hell, I can do that. Well, they gave me a chance. And so I worked very hard at that, and I went and did, another 4 games over in Europe, and they liked it, signed me up, and so I did play-by-play in the NFL with Fox for 3 years. Then I got the opportunity to coach, and now my kids had all basically grown and were, if not out of the house, close to it. And I had an opportunity to be the head coach and general manager of the Buffalo Destroyers in the Arena Football League.
Oh, okay.
And I took that opportunity. We moved to Buffalo, and it was everything I'd hoped. I loved it. I mean, it was so much fun. It damn near killed me, but I loved every second of it. And we had some success, made the playoffs 2 out of 3 years, and I was doing both at the time. I was still doing the NFL stuff and the Arena League coaching and general manager position. because they played in opposite seasons. We played our ball in the kind of the late winter, spring to summer, and then of course football's in the fall. But then Fox let me go. What had happened actually was Pat Summerall was retiring, and so everything was fine. And then Pat changed his mind. Well, they had already gotten a replacement for him, and so I was low man on the totem pole. They called me up and said, we're not going to bring you back this year because Pat's going to come around for one more year and he's going to take those games. And I said, that's fine. I'm coaching now, and moved on. But I did at that point pick up some games for ESPN doing college football. I think that first year I ended up doing 4 games for them. This was back in '02. And then the Arena Football League got a nice television package with NBC. And I was having some health issues. My knees were bad. I had been diagnosed with diabetes, and I just wasn't feeling good. And coaching takes a toll on you. And I got the opportunity to be their lead analyst on NBC to cover arena football. So I resigned my coaching position and took that job with NBC, and did that for 3 years. And then the Arena Football League folded. So I went back to ESPN. And they gave me a full schedule, and I've been doing that now full-time since, I believe, '05.
And then you have a local radio show, too, do you?
Yeah, I started with Wood Radio back in '94, I told you, and I did that for almost 5 years. And then now, when I started 4 years ago, again, I was basically driving my wife crazy. I would do the football in the fall, and then the rest of the year, I'm just sitting at home, and she's got to be something better. Get out of here and do something for you to do. Get the hell out of my hair, right? Basically. So she spurred me on to go, and I gave a call over to WBBL, and they said, "Yeah, why don't you come on in and we'll." Actually, they were desperate. They didn't have anyone to do their show over New Year's. Everyone was on vacation. And my call just happened to time out perfect. Yeah, we would love to give you a shot because they needed somebody to do that show. So I went over there and did that for a few days there, and actually they liked it enough that they brought me in. And initially as a kind of a part-time, I did a couple of mornings a week and then a couple of afternoons with Huge for about 6 months, and then they gave me a permanent position on the morning show. And since that time, it's kind of different. The guys I worked with, I both left, and now it's kind of fallen on me. It's my show, and here I am coming up in May. It'll be the 4th year.
Well, we know Huge because Huge actually, about when he first started, he did a telecast of a high school basketball game with me.
Is that right?
He was a color man.
Did you get a word in edgewise?
Yeah, because he wanted a tape that he could use.
Right.
For his job.
Well,
so he got it. We can take credit for being helped getting him to start.
Credit?
Well, okay.
Blame, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Now you're also an author.
That is correct.
Books.
Yeah. It started. I was an English major in college. Even though I didn't graduate, I left a year early, or a semester early, as I told you. But started having all these kids, and when I was young, it was a family outing. Was throw everybody in the car, and we would go to the library and spend time getting books. It was very important to my parents. My father was an educator, teacher, and my mother worked at the library. And so books were a big part of our family life. We always had books. I always sat around, talked about them, and went back and did it, and that was a big part, and I know it helped me in my education. I'm a big proponent of reading. I think that if you can read, you can do everything else you do involves reading.
I read probably 20 books a year.
Well, there you go. So I wanted to promote the reading with my kids, and we read them books, and I would constantly, though, complain about the quality of these books I'm reading to my kids, and my wife, again, got sick of hearing that and said, why don't you write your own then if you think, that's a good idea. So I did. I wrote my own children's books. One of my teammates with Buffalo, Mike Hamby, was an aspiring illustrator. So he drew the pictures and I designed the book and wrote the book, and we actually published. And I've written and published 7 different children's books, sold over 250,000 copies of them over the course of time. And had a lot of success and have been able to carry that message to a lot of kids. I visit a lot of elementary schools and share my books with the kids and the importance of learning how to read.
Are you still writing?
Not children's books.
No?
I'm actually writing a novel
Oh, are
as we
you?
speak. Yeah, and I'm editing it. It's done. I have 500 pages scratched together, and I'm gonna. My intent is to publish this summer.
Good.
Whether
I'll
or
read
not,
it. I guarantee
if
you.
If not, get someone to read it to you, one way or the other. But it's fiction. It's a novel.
Mm-hmm.
It is, however, based about football. It's about a player, an old linebacker, and then the team and the things he goes through, and I'll kind of leave it at that, and you'll have to read the rest to find out.
Okay. Well, I read all fiction mostly. I got famous authors that every book they write comes out, I read it.
Yeah, I've got a few of those.
And you get the, we were talking about that earlier out here. When you read a book and you visualize what that book is saying, you see it differently than what I do.
Yeah.
It helps you get to thinking different.
Yeah, no doubt. And then it's fun to discuss.
Yeah.
I was in a little reading
And
club.
then the movie comes out and it's entirely different.
Yeah, the movie's never as good as the book. Well, that's because the best movies play inside your head.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
So, now, are you still coaching at Byron?
I helped out with Byron a little bit this past year. My cousin RJ was their defensive coordinator. And when I had opportunity, when I wasn't gone doing a college game, I would sit upstairs and be on the headphones with him and tell him what he's doing wrong. And so been doing that to him since he was born, pretty much. But no, I had such a great time doing that. I had coached young kids for a dozen years and really loved it. And by young, I mean 3rd and 4th graders. And I took one particular class at Granville. They're all freshmen right now. From the 3rd grade and all the way up through the 8th grade. I missed 1 year, I believe, of it because I was working that year and it didn't work out. But I coached that group of kids, and we had so much fun. And I loved coaching at that level. Last year, I didn't have that team. They were in the high school program, and I couldn't get in there, and I couldn't commit enough time to actually be officially a part of it. So I don't know what's going to happen with the coaching. I'm a man without a team, and I'm looking. I want to get involved with it one way or another. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I coached Little League a number of years, and I know what you're talking about. It's a great experience, and you watch kids grow.
Yeah, and they play for the right reasons.
Yeah,
the love of the game and the joy and all that stuff, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, sounds like you've had a very good career that you like.
I've been blessed, yes, sir.
Yes, haven't we all?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Glad you have it with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's like running through the hallway, screaming down the interstate, no stopping on the way to take a breath, jumping from an airplane, living in the fast lane, baby, you make me feel alive, caught in the moment, eyes open.
Well, here we are once again with the organizer of the event here this year again, Ty Emelander. Ty, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day here to join us.
You're right, it is a busy day. I start at one end of the gymnasium, start heading to this gymnasium. By the time I get here, I forget why I was heading this way. So it is a crazy 2 days actually for me on this, but it's just a great event. It's fun to do. It benefits our programs. It's kind of branched out into softball, and we're doing some football stuff now in our field, and then we use some of this money for our kids to go on a spring trip. So. It's been a neat thing. It's grown beyond what I ever thought it would be, and to be honest, mainly it's because Denny Mclain's been so gracious to us with his time. I mean, he's really been the key to this event.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the second year I've been here, and it's been very impressive both years. How did you strike up that relationship with Denny?
Well, when we first named the field after Stubby Overmire, I had that idea for quite a few years in a row, and then all of a sudden there was I brought the idea up, and then he was our principal at the time, he kind of took it and ran with it. And the Overmire name kind of connects to a lot of the old Tigers. So I started out sending out, I thought, well, let's run an auction. I sent out some memorabilia requests, and all of a sudden I get a phone call one day and said, Ty there. I said, this is Ty. He goes, this is Denny Mclain. And I thought, yeah, right, it's one of my buddies, trying to play a joke on me. And he said, well, when's this event? And I said, well, we're working on a date. He goes, well, let me know, and I'm coming. And I thought, well, okay. So I finally sent a date, and I kind of shyly called and said, is this Denny Mclain? He goes, yeah. And I go, well, this is Ty Emelander, Stubby Overmire field. He goes, yeah. I go, well, we set a date. It's February 10th. Are you still planning on coming? He goes, I told you I was coming. And since then, it's been a crazy relationship. I love the man, his wife. Denny lost a ton of weight.
Oh,
you guys
big
seen
time.
that. He lost 150 pounds, or I think, plus. And it's so funny, the other day, I went out to eat with him, and he greets me, and comes up, shakes my hand, and goes, hey, how you doing, fatso? So it's just, Denny is just, he's hilarious. My mother got to know him real well before she passed, and I remember she said this one time, she goes, Denny would have been in my Cub Scout group, because I always got the mischievous ones. And she used to use it at the nursing home before she passed. She used to tell the people, oh, I think Denny Mclain's coming. So they'd clean her room up and get in order. She was using Denny's, and even Denny called her up and cracked a joke because she got hurt moving furniture. He called her up and said he's starting a moving company, and he wanted to know if she wanted to work for him. And he was just, he's been awesome, and his wife Sharon is one of the sweetest people I've ever met. She's actually, I think, part of the driving force of this. So we've got to know her so well.
Yep.
All our daughters know them. They come watch our ball games. My daughter's worn number 17 now for, it'll be the 9th year now in honor of Denny.
Wow.
So, and my daughter's become a pretty accomplished softball pitcher here in West Michigan.
Absolutely.
So it's been really cool. It's fun. It really is a fun event. And there's so many people that give their time. The whole Grundyke family, and my coaches, and some of my players. You know, you guys at WKTV, you've been here all day. I know how much you're getting paid. And except Hanson, I hear he's getting a lot.
Well, we enjoy coming out to these type of events. It's great that we can show it to the community. Hopefully gains a little bit more exposure for in the years to come. And this year you had Ray Bentley coming out as well.
Oh, that was awesome. Ray, I played against Ray in high school, and you know, I was joking with him. I don't remember Ray as a linebacker as much as a quarterback. And the other day I was at dinner with him, and I said, this is the closest I ever got to you, because we couldn't get to him as a quarterback. He was a very good high school quarterback.
Yep.
I think he could have played college football as a quarterback somewhere, but I think he made the right choice because he had quite a career.
Yeah, absolutely.
He helped promote this on the radio, and Ray seems like just a fun guy.
Yep. Yeah, last year you had Mickey Stanley here as well.
Mickey actually said he's probably going to come again next year, too.
Okay.
And Mickey actually, he called me up that night and just told me how much he enjoyed coming here and how fun of a time it was. And
good.
That's nice to know that people enjoy being here.
Yeah.
You know, they're coming here free of charge, and it's just so cool.
Yep, absolutely. And then you got the multiple vendors out there. Some of them that we were talking with earlier, they said they've been here all 8 years for it. And
well, 6 years. We've been doing the card show for 6. We did an auction the first 2 years without a card show, but yeah, some of them are very loyal. Matter of fact, Tom Brooks out there.
Yep, he was one we talked with.
He actually was the one. He's given me tons of advice on how to do things, how to get info out, and helps get the info. I get a lot of help. I mean, I guarantee I'm forgetting people, and I always do, and then I think later, God, I forgot to thank him or whoever.
Well, I'm sure there's a cast of many, as you say, when you start looking at everybody involved, your players, your staff. I mean, just
our concession people out there. Our athletic boosters we have the best group of athletic boosters right now we've ever had here.
Yep.
They are so selfless, and it just amazes me what they will do for not just their kids, but all the programs. Even though their kid might play one sport, they don't get into just they funnel the money to all the kids, and it's hard to raise money here in this area right now.
Oh, I imagine in any place right now.
It's a little bit depressed.
Yep, absolutely.
But we just awesome talked with people, Josie and Tammy and Sherry and Lynn and Aaron and Donald. They're the best.
Yep. We just talked with your athletic director, John Cain, and got some input from him with everything. He said numbers are up, and just the attitude that you're bringing to the program seems to be a different change. We've made note of it on the air when we've done different broadcasts here as well.
Well, the baseball program for the last 10 years, you know, the first couple of years we struggled, but we've been pretty solid. We've had some really good, talented teams here, and you know, I think this year we're going to we're going to go through a little bit of a swing of being young, but our lower levels right now, we got some talent. Some of these young kids that are helping here today are going to be super ball players.
Yep.
And you know, they did a video on our youth clinics a few weeks ago, and that's kind of the key. We get them funneled into Pinery Park Little League, and that's a blessing. I mean, we couldn't ask for more. You know, they're right in our backyard.
Yep, absolutely. John mentioned that you started the youth program from football up as well, and are getting kids involved at the younger ages there.
We probably have the only football program in the state that I know of where it's fully funded. The school helped us the first year, and now we're trying to figure out ways to fund it now and keep it going. But it's equipment and everything, and you know, that's the only way we can get our kids to try football. And we got to get them used to playing football every year, but it's fun. I actually envied the young kid coaches last year because it looked like they were having a ball down there.
I bet they are. I bet they are. Well, we're certainly seeing good things. We appreciate the time today. We appreciate the efforts of everything, and we look forward to the 9th one next year.
Yeah. I look forward to a little rest before that one, but I appreciate you guys coming out, and once again, Mclain's out there are awesome, and the guests that come here and help us, and even our auctioneer who's going to come in here later. You know, he's done it every year and never charged us a penny. You know, and I'm sure he's a busy man.
Absolutely. Well, Ty, we thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.
Rebels running on the loose. We don't care if you talk or disapprove of us, 'cause we are young and do whatever we want to, 'cause there's no rule.
Well, we're here with John Qualls today. How you doing today, John?
Doing well, thank you.
That's good. Glad you could join us. What brings you out today? Anything special?
Well, I just like to collect primarily Gordie Howe memorabilia, and also the old IHL pucks and things like that. And anything actually to do with hockey. I'm a big collector, and I've attended this show probably for the last, 6 or 7 years, is however long they've been going. And I usually find some good items here, so I'm always looking out for that item that will help me out in my collection.
Absolutely. How big of a collection do you have, do you think?
Well, I have a basement full, wall to wall, and I collect most of the older stuff. Because the problem today is the players today, you know, they sign their name, and unless you write it down, you have no idea who the autograph is. And after a couple of years, they're not worth anything. But I go for the older players, you know, the Gordie Howes, Frank Mahovlich, people like that, you know, that real NHL stars and some minor league stars too. I'm a big Griffins fan. Matter of fact, I attended their first practice back in, let me think. I believe it was 96, the first year they were here. And I have a puck that I caught from that practice, so I've got that in my collection. And, you know, things like that. And anytime they practice up at Griff's Ice House, well, I go up to watch the practice, and I've met the coaches and the players. I don't bug them for autographs, though. I'm not really an autograph collector as such, but I got to know a number of the players, and I know a number of the players that are in Detroit now from the Griffins, so I keep in contact with a few of those. As a matter of fact, there was a goalie here a few years back named Liv, L-I-V, and he was one of the players that was killed on that plane crash in Russia. Well, he gave me a stick, a game-used stick, and autographed it for me. So when he passed away, I got to thinking, maybe his family would like to have this stick. So I got in touch with Jonathan Erickson, a friend of mine, and I told him, and he said, I'd love to be able to take it back to him. So I got the stick to Jonathan, and he delivered it back to the family in Sweden.
Well, hats off to you for doing that. A lot of people would have looked at it just the other way, as an opportunity to make something off it. So kudos to you for doing that, John. That's a great gesture.
Yeah, I'm not in the collecting business, you know, to make a fortune. I don't sell autographs. I don't sell pucks or anything. I collect for my own benefit. Now, there is a friend of mine in Calgary, a former hockey player. He played in the Montreal Canadiens chain, and he's getting a museum started. To give you an idea that how fortunate I've been, about 5 years ago, there was an All-Star jersey sold in Montreal from the '48 All-Star game, NHL. And So a year or so later, my daughter was in an antique shop here in Grand Rapids, and she calls his dad, said, there's something you should come and take a look at. Well, I went over there, and it was actually an all-star jersey from '48. But you've really got to be careful, when you're buying something like that. So I had this catalog that was published in Montreal for this auction that the jersey sold for $5,500. So I came home and got the catalog, took it over to the store, and the catalog had the labels, in the collar, and the other information. Everything matched up 100%. So I asked the fellow, what have you got on it? And I think the price was $1,400. And so I said, well, I'll take it. And so my friend in Calgary, he's got this museum he started, and I wanted to pass it on to him. So, and also a couple of days later, they called me up from the antique store and says, well, he said, I've talked to the owner of the jersey, and I forget his name, but he was the nephew of Tommy Ivan, who was the coach for that All-Star game and also the Detroit Red Wing coach. And so I said, well, I'd like to have a letter from him. He said, I'll get that for you. He said, also, he's got something else for you. He says he's got the socks that go with the jersey. So I think he went like $100 for the socks. So I bought those, and they were the old-fashioned socks that had the toes and the heels in them, and they went all the way up to your crotch. They're real old, and they were beautiful old socks. So I bought those. So I called my friend up in Calgary, and I said, I got something for you today. Of course, he jumped at it, and I sold him to him the same price I paid for it because I was doing him a favor. Yep. Well, now he's got that framed, and he's got the socks in the frame also. I think he paid like $300 or $400 to get it framed, but it's beautiful to display. And he's building this hockey museum in his office. So, and I've been real fortunate. I went to an antique store, not store, but to show here in Grand Rapids, probably about 25 years ago. I was looking around, and there was a couple of autographed balls there. And so I said to the dealer, where'd you get these balls? He said, well, I got these. I handled an estate sale for a sports writer for the Cleveland Plain Dealer, the newspaper there. And he said, these items didn't sell. And what it was, one was the 1929 Chicago Cubs autographed ball, and the second ball was a Dizzy Dean autographed ball. So I said, what do you want for him? Well, he says, I'd like to get rid of them. He said, if you want the two balls, you can have them for $100. Wow. So I figured, well, for $100, I can take a chance on them, being real. So anyway, I kept them for about a year, and I took them to a show in Detroit. And I showed them around. Well, there's a dealer there from Florida. And he's a big memorabilia dealer. He says, you've got some baseballs for sale? And I says, yes. He says, well, I'd like to look at them. And he said, looked at him, he says, tell you what, so I'll give you $1,100 for it. And I said, cash? He said, yes. So he counted out 9 $100 bills and 4 $50 bills. And what was amazing about the balls, on the Chicago ball, there were 6 Hall of Fame players that signed it. And also, there was the owner of the Chicago, it was the Cubs, maybe I say White Sox, but it was Chicago Cubs ball. Yep. And there was also the autograph of Bill Veeck. Now, not the Bill Veeck that we know, but his dad.
Oh, no kidding.
Was on the ball.
Wow.
And then, of course, the other ball was a Dizzy Dean autograph ball. So I called my wife on the phone. I says, don't go to bed. I want you to be awake when I get home. Because at the time I bought it, she kind of gave me a rough time, for spending $100 for a couple of baseballs. So I came home, and she was in the kitchen waiting for me. And she'd even call my daughter up to come down because they wanted to see what Dad bought, because sometimes I bring home some strange items, So I took that money out of my pocket, and I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I went all the way to $1,100. She went,
A day well worth it from that point of view.
I've really been fortunate because, like I say, I've gotten into a lot of places. I used to travel as a salesman on the road. Okay. So I'd always stop at antique stores, junk stores, and it's amazing what you find, you know. And I started collecting when many people were not collecting, you know, back in the late 60s and early 70s. Sure. And so there was not a big demand for what was available, and it was competitive. It wasn't very pricey like it is today, you know.
Absolutely, and how ironic now is we have Denny Mclain coming in today. The last 30-game winner before Denny Mclain was Dizzy Dean, I believe, back in 34 or 35, something like that. So how ironic of a story that you have for that one.
Yeah, I told him, one more story. I told him a story. I said, Denny, I said, I was at the Tiger game back when the season you won your 31 games, and I said you were pitching against Chicago that night, and they bombed you out. He says, why would you remind me of something like that? I won 31 games, and you come up here and tell me you were at the game I lost.
You pick one of the 6 losses that year to discuss. Now, you've got a friend back here, as we look at, and he's got a pair of cleats here. I'm wondering if we could get a little bit of a story on those from you.
Story on the cleats are I was at the Chicago National last year, and a friend of mine, also a memorabilia dealer, he got these spikes, and I don't know who he got them from. And he knew I was a Detroit Tiger fan, and he asked me if I liked to purchase them, and I did so. And I've got a picture with it that shows Mickey in that style of the skate or the spikes that are his, and they were autographed also inside the tongue there.
Very neat item. Mickey was here last year as one of the people that were signing along with Denny. So we appreciate your time coming out today. Thank you very much. Thanks, John.
Lost in this never-ending sky. That's why I'm looking at the man in the moon. And I know if you were looking up there too, I won't be so lonely, but I'll still be missing you.
That'll wrap up our show today from Wyoming Lee High School. We thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed it. We appreciate the time that Ty Emelander took to get everything put together, and we especially appreciate Denny Mclain and Ray Bentley coming out along with the multiple vendors, those that took time to talk with us as well. We hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you from a Ray Peuler point of view as he did the interviews, and myself, Mike Moll. We hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.
Your parade, I know you feel like there's no end in sight. Far off in the distance I see a better day, where dark clouds fade to a clear blue sky. Days like this don't last forever, I'll be there to see you through. You can run for the shelter of my loving arms. I'll be your one place to land. I'll keep you safe from harm. When the weight of this world drags you down, I won't let you fall. I won't let you fall. When the waves come crashing down upon your fragile heart, thrown off course and far from home, I'll lead you on to calmer waters and guide you back where you belong. Days like this don't last forever, I'll be there to see you through. You can run for the shelter of my loving arms. I'll be your one place to land. I'll keep you safe from harm. When the weight of this world drags you down, I won't let you fall. I won't let you fall. under my loving arms. I'll be your warm place to land. I'll keep you safe and warm. When the weight of this world drags you down, when the weight of this world drags you down, I won't let you fall. I won't let you fall. I won't let you fall. Fall.